Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a brilliant source text that tackles something, honestly, pretty much all of us struggle with at some point. You know that deep, nagging feeling, that little voice telling you to wait for the absolute perfect time before chasing a goal? We hold off on our dreams, our projects, our lives, totally convinced that tomorrow is going to somehow offer this flawless environment to begin. Well, let's dive into this source material, because what we uncover today might just completely flip how you look at patience and preparation.
So I want you to really think about this for a second. Are you waiting for the perfect moment to start? Is there a business idea, maybe a hobby, a difficult conversation, or even a major life change that you've put on ice just because the conditions don't feel, well, entirely right yet? Hey, if you're nodding your head right now, you are definitely not alone. It's human nature. To really understand the mechanics behind this hesitation, we're going to look at a classic, really powerful fable about two seeds. It captures this exact human dilemma perfectly.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, A Tale of Two Seeds, The Divergence. Imagine we are deep, deep beneath the dark, cool soil. Two tiny seeds are lying there. They share the exact same origin, the exact same potential, and the exact same dream of breaking through the surface to become tall, strong trees one day. But, as we know, potential alone just isn't enough, right? One fateful morning, their paths diverge forever. The first seed makes a definitive choice. It declares, "I think it's time to grow." Now, it doesn't have all the answers, but it's ready to move. The second seed faces the exact same morning, the same dirt, but simply replies, "Not yet." So they're side by side in the ground, but their mindsets? Literally worlds apart.
Moving into Section 2, The Courage to Grow, Facing the Elements.
As that first brave seed started pushing through the dark soil, taking action didn't just magically guarantee immediate safety. Actually, scratch that. It did the opposite. Stepping out into the world exposed it to a harsh new reality, a whole sequence of severe challenges. First, heavy rain battered it, bending its tiny, fragile stem. Then the blazing hot sun beat down, drying its fresh leaves. And finally, strong winds whipped across the land, threatening to completely uproot the whole thing. But here's the secret the source material reveals. The seed didn't just survive these elements, it actually needed them. Every single one of these brutal challenges worked to make it stronger. The wind forced its roots deeper, the sun fueled its growth.
And because it endured all those elements, it slowly transformed into a healthy young tree. It achieved a life of real, rich purpose. Birds arrived, building nests in its sturdy branches. Weary travelers finally found a place to rest in its cooling shade. Children laughed and played safely beneath it. It ended up providing an entire ecosystem of value and joy. And it found immense purpose, all simply because it dared to begin when things were tough.
On to Section 3, The Peril of Waiting, The Anxiety Trap. Now, let's pivot sharply back to our second seed. While the first was out battling the wind and growing strong, the second seed was still trapped underground in the dark. It hadn't moved an inch. Why? Because every single day it found a brand new reason to wait. You know the drill. What if the rain doesn't come? What if someone steps on me? What if insects eat me? What if I'm just not strong enough? The seed genuinely believed it was keeping itself safe by staying hidden. But this illusion of safety mutated into a paralyzing fear. The sheer volume of these what-ifs became a heavy blanket, keeping it buried. The seed kept promising itself, it would grow when the weather was perfect, or when it felt more confident, or when there was absolutely zero risk. But guys, zero risk does not exist. So what happened? The days turned into months. The months quietly turned into years. The seed just kept waiting for a flawless environment that was never, ever going to arrive. Then, one random day, a hungry bird landed nearby. It began to scratch at the ground looking for a meal. It pecked at the dirt, dug down into the soil, and it found the little seed. The very seed that had spent years just waiting to be completely safe. In a moment, its chance was gone forever. All that potential, all those dreams of becoming a tree, completely erased in the blink of an eye. Years later, that great tree, the first seed that had braved the wind and the rain, stood tall in the sun. It remembered its old friend buried in the earth. As the wind rustled its leaves, it whispered a really profound realization. The danger wasn't growing. The danger was waiting. This right here, this is the emotional core of the source text. The second seed thought the surface was dangerous, but the ultimate lethal danger was inaction. And finally, Section 4, The Illusion of Perfection, Real-World Application.
Let's drop the metaphor for a second and talk directly about how this applies to us.
Because honestly, a lot of people live exactly like that second seed, right? Constructing our own underground bunkers of hesitation. We tell ourselves we're just waiting for the perfect job to open up. We're waiting for the perfect, risk-free opportunity to present itself. We wait to be in the perfect mood to start studying, or wait for the perfect time of year to launch a project. Perfect, perfect, perfect. We use that word as a sophisticated excuse to delay our lives.
So here is the absolute crucial takeaway. Life does not reward those who wait forever for flawless conditions. It just doesn't. Life rewards those who begin despite uncertainty. Action, even when it's messy, even when you aren't entirely sure of the outcome, is the only currency the real world truly respects.
And this brings us to a massive paradigm shift derived from our source. The common myth we tell ourselves is that we need to be strong, ready, and fully prepared before we face a challenge. But the reality is that you become strong precisely because you face challenges. The resistance is what builds the muscle. The wind is what deepens the roots. You literally cannot skip the struggle if you want the strength. Therefore, the text leaves us with an incredibly powerful, energetic directive. Don't wait until you feel fearless to take your first step. If you do, you're going to be waiting forever. Start now. Take the messy action today, and let the journey itself make you fearless. Let the stumbling, the learning, and the growing do the heavy lifting of building your confidence.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with one final, lingering thought. Our source reminds us that the absolute greatest risk in life is waiting so long that your opportunity completely disappears. So I ask you, will you let your greatest opportunity disappear while you wait for perfection? Break the soil today. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I highly encourage you to take that first step the very moment this explainer ends.